Welcome to episode 1 of a brand new series. We're looking to take you behind the scenes and beyond the squash court, looking at characters and stories on the PSA World Tour. We're here at the US Open and I'm joined by the lovely and very sprightly Aisling Blake.
Great to be here, Joy.
The first episode we caught up with Grégory Gaultier on his comeback from injury which he sustained here at the US Open last year. So Greg, good to see you once again. It's been a while actually since I've seen you after you departed from the tour with that horrific injury, but you've gone under second surgery. And how's the rehab going now? How are you feeling?
Yeah, well, it's been a tough year for me. I had this injury coming during the US Open, and one piece of bone and cartilage was broken in my knee. So what happened, I did the first surgery, but the surgeon did quite a heavy surgery by trying to take out that piece that was broken and to refill the hole with some cartilage, but it didn't really heal properly.
Yeah.
And it was probably like not the right choice to do. What happened is one piece of the cartilage that he actually inserted in my bone,
Yeah.
was like touching the joints. So he actually shaved that piece that was not healed to make like the joint like quite clean when you actually move around. And after that, I was on crutches again for 2 months. So it's been only a month and a half, 2 months that now I'm on my feet again. I can walk, which is amazing.
I've seen you walk with a limp before, and you've managed to beat the best player in the world at the time, but we won't go into that. It might have been in New York.
Maybe I limp. I limp every day, But I'm doing my best, to come back. Of course, the knee is still not great yet. So I've been back on court this week, but doing just simple things, not moving too much. Just to see, how I can feel.
How have you found hitting the ball since you had the ball?
The ball, it was such a pleasure, to hit the ball, this doesn't change, it's no big deal, I can still hit the ball correctly, even if I didn't touch it for 6 months.
Yeah.
And it hasn't changed at all, I can hit better drops than you still.
Yeah, I mean
but you never hit drops before, so.
This is very true. This is very true.
A lot of support from people, of course, that I don't know, which is amazing. I have to admit that. And I'm really thankful for all the messages people send, because it really touched me. Touched my heart, and it's and on top of the people who are still supporting me, like my close friends and sponsors, who keep helping me and wants me to
come back.
All they want is to see me play.
Yeah, well, it's the same.
They support me. They want to see me play.
Yeah, that's the same with all of us.
They want me to be happy, and it will make them happy.
Have you got any idea? What was your target tournament? I mean, I know it's very early days, but you must have set a little bit of a target tournament for when you were coming back.
Yeah. Well, at the beginning, after my first surgery, my target was to play the British Open in May, but I got the other surgery in May. So then my target, maybe it would have been nice to play either by the end of the year, maybe World Teams, or starting with TOC.
Yeah.
Or then maybe later, I don't know, but I don't want to go back on the tour if I'm like 30% of my capacities.
Yeah.
I want to go back where I can be maybe 70-80% with a really decent level, and I don't start losing to someone I really shouldn't lose, for my confidence, for my I will take the time it needs.
Yeah.
I want to be able to run with my kids. I want to
chase them and attack them and stuff. In a very very friendly way, obviously. But
I want to be able to. I don't know if I organize things in squash. Able to play with kids, able to play with people. Even after my career. Sure. You have to start from scratch. That's it. And you have to accept it. So it was tough at the beginning, but once I'm back in the gym, then I'm thinking, okay, I do this, I do it for a reason, because I want it so much, I want to to be back playing. You know, it's my desire. I need to put goals, like low goals at the beginning, and then another goal. I can't now say, oh, I'm going to be number one, you know, because I'm in a position where, with the injury I have, my first goal is to play, and then my second goal is to compete, and then my third goal is to really, you know, kick ass.
I feel sorry for the rest of the players on the PSA World Tour when Le General turns up, but can't wait for it. I'll
do all my best to come back, and it's my promise.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Greg. Really appreciate, and I promise you I'll buy you a coffee next year.
Thank you. Thanks, Alex Goff, for the coffee.
Fighting talk there from the General. I wouldn't expect anything less from him with his determination and track record. Your thoughts, how far do you think he can go when he joins the PSA World Tour again?
I know, I mean, I have the utmost respect for Grégory Gaultier. He's such a fighter and a warrior. He has got that nickname for a reason. I think the length of time he has been out concerns me. We have only kind of one relevant player that we can compare him to, and that's Fares Dazuki, who has been out for a year and made a comeback. But he's 12 years younger than Gaultier. Gaultier is 37 now, he's number 64 in the world. So he will have a mountain to climb to get back up there. And I think the strides that the younger players have done in the last 12 months, Paul Coll and Diego Elias and Joel Macon, that all those players have made in the past 12 months, I just think that's, endurance-wise, it's a step too far. He can come back, play an exhibition and beat almost anyone, I would say. But to do that, back up matches, maybe have a rest day, maybe not in tournaments, I think is too big an ask for someone of that age, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, yeah. I mean, I truly believe that he will come back.
Do
and
you?
He will be right in the mix of the top 10.
Why?
I feel that his drawing of experience that he has, I mean, he was the eldest world number one ever.
True.
One of the most consistent, one of the greatest players of all time. His mental capacity, he's not done yet. He wants to finish on his terms. And also his rehabbing, he's got unbelievable guys in his corner, and he's rehabbing more than he actually was training. So he's doing 6 to 7 hours a day rehabbing. He's watching Squash TV. He's getting very angry. He's an angry person as it is anyway. Squash has been his life, and I feel his squash playing abilities will see him through. Yes, he might not be as quick as he was at 37 years of age and with that time out. I feel that he'll have a good endurance. I think he can still get that, and his squash ability and his court craft will take him through. I honestly believe that he will get into the mid top 10 and have situations where he can get into semi-finals and turn some people over. If it's the best of 3 format, he's going to be even more dangerous. So if the best of 3 comes in even more frequently, I think he can turn over the very top players.
Well, I'd love for him to be back up there. I really would. Yeah, fantastic ambassador for the game.
No, he's a great character, and I mean, he's a great character, and from our point of view, it's nothing worse than seeing people robbed from the PSA World Tour. I actually managed to catch up with Derek Ryan. He came to visit me down in Somerset a couple of weeks ago to give me a bit of a surveying of my war-weary body, and give me some tips on injuries and how you prevent injury and how you overcome injury. So really interesting to catch up with Derek and see what he had to say about my brutal body. I'm here with PSA World Tour Physio Derek Ryan. Derek, we're going to be looking at the main areas of the body that get affected with injuries and trying to prevent those injuries happening. With this first episode, we're going to look at the ankle side of injuries. We see a lot with the PSA World Tour players, but also there's a huge amount of club players that are susceptible to rolling their ankle or straining their ankle. So could you talk us through some of the scenarios when that happens and what we can do to try and prevent that happening as much as possible?
Yeah, sure. Well, if you have a lie on your back, let's have a look at the ankle first. So straighten that one out.
Oh, please, I've got my feet done.
Okay. So probably the most common injury that we get around the ankle is on the outside of the ankle, and we've 3 ligaments that basically come down on the outside of the ankle, and if we roll our ankle and twist it, which is a common injury, then we can injure some of the fibers of the ligament, or even worse, you can actually rupture one of these, which actually creates a lot of instability then. Generally you get a lot of swelling with it, and it's painful, and sometimes you get bruising with it as well, which is basically bleeding internally, which can be normal enough. What's important to do is, if it is severely painful, sometimes you have to get it investigated and maybe get an x-ray to clear the bone, that there's no fracture. And then it's all about police, which basically means protect it. Yeah. You got to optimally load it, which means you got to start doing some exercises on it. Reasonably pain-free. You're probably going to have some mild discomfort doing some of the exercises. Using ice, compression, and keep the foot elevated when you can, especially in those first few days when it's acute. Okay, Joey, so you would have, I'd say in the past, probably had sprains on both sides?
Badly, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, badly.
And if anything, your left ankle is a bit more freer, a bit more freedom of movement on that, a little bit stiffer on the right ankle. So mobility is important at the ankle, but stability is really crucial alongside it as well. Okay. So we're going to look at a few exercises to sort of help reduce the risk of an ankle injury. So you're going to go into a squat, which is pretty good for ankle mobility, toes slightly pointed out, and then sit back into the squat. So all of a sudden we're getting good ankle movement, knee, hip, and overall we're getting the nerves and muscles activated and talking to each other. Be looking to sit back a little bit more on the heels, but you could actually try and get your knees forward a little bit more, which will give you a little bit more range of movement. Exactly. Again, pain permitting.
I can feel that now through my calf muscle area.
Yep. Then we'd move on to the forward lunge. Again, barefoot, you're going to get nice feedback from the floor. Yeah. Trying to make sure that the foot doesn't collapse in, so you're maintaining that slight arch in the midfoot. And it's a nice dynamic hip mobility exercise as well. Try and squeeze your glute on the trail leg also. Yeah. So squeeze that left glute. Good. You're looking at good control. Looking at making sure that that front knee doesn't collapse inwards, and that you're maintaining good movement and overall controlling the movement, which you didn't there. And now a little bit of balance work, stroke stability. So we're going to do the one leg deadlift. Nice, smooth movement.
The one leg deadlift, okay.
Do 3 one leg and 3 the other.
Can already feel my ankle shaking quite a lot.
And push your hands out in front of you. Again, your back is nice and straight as well.
Yeah, I do find this one slightly harder. I'll try on the other leg.
You can see that the ankle is working hard, the ligaments, you can see the tendons and ligaments being activated because there's so much movement going on, which can be healthy for the ankle. Again, obviously, if you had a lot of pain with this, you'd have to pull back and do an easier balance type exercise.
That's great, Derek. Thanks so much for that input. That's brilliant. And I'm going to work savagely on my ankles. I feel it's a real weakness for me anyway. And I'm determined to come back and for you to be very impressed with my ankle stability. But that was really informative, and I hope everyone else has got a clear-cut message about the ankle area. They're really important, and go away and work on it and get better at squash. Just cut me lying face down, yeah? Suck it in. Just had a massive Mrs. Barrington pasta with the boys. Oh.
Well, that seemed like fun. Joey, you took your top off while he looked at your ankle. Can you explain that one?
Well, Derek wanted me to do that.
Did he though?
He said he wanted me to do that, and so I went with it. You know, any chance to try and get any use out of a physio. It doesn't matter how it is, but no, it was interesting. It was really interesting to hear what he had to kind of say about certain areas of the body, and certainly ones that injuries that I've had. But when you were playing, you must have come across. Did you ever have anything that took you out?
I did, and unfortunately, I didn't have Derek Ryan. He's obviously a compatriot of mine. He's a former world number 7, but I didn't have him in my corner, which was unfortunate. And I would have loved to have someone like that. But I had a major back injury. About 7 years into my professional career, and then couldn't walk And it was so
Really?
humbling, so humbling. And I think that's why I feel for Greg Gaultier, because there's so many things that happen to you mentally and physically when you go through something like that. And we push our bodies to the limit every day, and we ask so much of our bodies, and then something like that happens, and you just have to go, you know what, I have to respect my body a lot more when you can't do basic bodily functions. So I think injuries, while not, nobody wants to wish them on athletes as people.
No, that would
but
be bad karma.
It would be, but it's good character building stuff for athletes, because it takes you away from the kind of go mentality. But the problem is, when we go back to it, we kind of forget. We forget how bad it was, and then we go
back to invincible
mode. Full pelt again. So it's tough. It's tough seeing the different players, how they react and adapt to injuries like that.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, Derek Ryan is a great character. I mean, what I love about it is the fact that he was an ex-PSA World Tour player, as you said, former world number 7. He's involved with squash now as the PSA Physio, so he's working with a lot of players on the tour. The PSA have put that into implementation, which means that when he's at events, guys and girls that aren't travelling with their own physios are using Derek. He's a real character.
He is.
He's about nearly 7 foot in height, so he can be a bit intimidating to some of the females, but no, he's a lovely character. And the one thing I love about travelling is that we come up and we see all these characters, and there's so many, and to try and show through this programme, the Squash World, some of those would be fantastic. I was lucky enough to catch up with the MC extraordinaire in the French Open in Nantes.
He was brilliant.
Romain SuiSui, and I caught up with him in the castle and saw what he had to say. Hey peasant, we've just taken your castle. Show me to the squash court.
You're English, you're arrogant. You can't play on my squash court dressed like that.
We'll see about that. Well, jokes aside, Romain, this is the 5th year that you've had this amazing event in Nantes. Started off for the first few years as a challenger event, a small prize money event, but the actual spectacle of the event has been astonishing.
Yeah, first of all, we want to thank you about it, to have come here and to share this kind of experience. It's very important for us. We try to improve each year, to have new ideas, to show to neophytes. Playing squash is so easy to start. Yeah, we are very proud now. What
stands out, it's not just the venues and the organisation, because obviously we've talked every year the venues have changed in amazing and very different venues. But what stands out from a TV point of view are the crowds. One, they're always a sellout, it's always maximum numbers, but also the atmosphere. Now, I've been told that the majority of the crowd are not squash players.
Exactly.
And this is a huge achievement, because this is very hard to do this, but you seem to be able to do it every year.
At least 60% of them are non-playing squash people.
It's amazing.
So it's also a reason why you have this kind of atmosphere, because they come and watch a sports show, and they want to discover. That's why I'm always trying to explain squash rules, and I try to ask, because I don't want to repeat every time the same thing. I try to ask them if it's important for them, or if something is not clear for them. And I think it's quite interactive between them and me. So
you've got some of the very, very best players in the world coming. And obviously in the women's, with Camille Serme being the #1 seed. I mean, you've got to be very proud of having these French players in the men's and women's competitions doing so well, and being here in Nantes, playing in this atmosphere and in this amazing venue.
Yeah, I think it's something unbelievable for them to live, and I think it makes them improve as well, and increase the pace as well on court. I think it's different to play here with this kind of crowd and with this atmosphere for French player.
Yeah,
so
for any player though. For any player,
maybe.
It is from all the players they report. They can't believe it. With the crowd, obviously the education factor, you're bringing that in, but you're an entertainer. You have to be an entertainer as the MC at the front there, and you do a brilliant job with that. You know, you have a lot of different and crazy ideas, but the crowd absolutely love it. You've really come into your own as an MC. You're now world famous. Romain, SuiSui.
Maybe in my street, I'm famous. No, I mean, it's something I enjoy.
Yes.
You know, but I enjoy overall to see smiles on faces and to see people. Neophytes again come and see me at the end and say thank you. I had a good moment. And when I ask, was it the first time? They say yes, and it's not the last. So I think to sum up, it's just for that. That.
Where do you get your ideas from to when you entertain the crowd? Because you know, I remember the first year we screened SQUASHTV. You were basically breakdancing. Would you believe it? On your back in very tight 70s squash gear, and you just went for it. And I was stunned, and I loved it. And so where do these ideas come from?
Unfortunately, here. I think when you work on every step of the project, you're able to understand why you are starting from this point and finishing to this point. So, as you know, we have a strong identity. We don't want to lose it. That's why we spend money for cultural event or for the seats or for comfort. And as I think I have understood what I wanted to tell. Not something common. I don't want to do like everyone or every sport. I try to be creative, and I think about it. And if I think about it even 3 or 4 months before, I write it on the paper. And then maybe 1 or 2 weeks before the show, try to like a puzzle. Try to mix every pieces and to do something. I think it could be funny and agreeable to live. I want them to understand. I want them to applaud, to make noise, to do something. Even for you, even for SQUASHTV and TV spectators, it's important they have a good moment, a good time. And I think I want them as well to come back home. For example, on Tuesday and come back on Wednesday, and talk about it and talk about squash and democratize it,
Well, you do a fantastic job. I mean, the organisers are wonderful. You do a fantastic job. It's not easy being out there in front of over 1,000 people and having to interview in a second language. You do a wonderful job, and we wish you the best of luck for the rest of the event, and we're looking forward to the entertainment side.
So you won't kill me today?
I won't kill you today, but there's always tomorrow.
Well, I tell you what, Joey, that suit of armour, I'm never going to get that out of my head. Good. So it's not good.
There will be a knight in shining armour there for you.
It's not good, but it seemed like quite the blast.
It was brilliant. I mean, I'm always partial to a bit of dress up, as you know. It was very hot. Being inside that castle was extraordinary, though. As a venue, it was unbelievable. The health and safety at one stage were looking, and this is no joke, were looking to call the police because I actually had a real sword, and they obviously didn't trust my dexterity.
Who would?
Who would, exactly, who would. But no, I mean, as an event, they've changed the venues every year. For me, it's the best event on the PSA World Tour because they fill it with 65 to 70% of the crowd are non-squash playing people, so it's spreading the sport out of our kind of squash bubble that we want. You would have loved being there as well.
I would.
Very sociable.
I watched online on the screen, and I could not get over the atmosphere. I don't think, even as a spectator watching through the TV, that there's been an event like it. My feeling was, how can we recreate something like that elsewhere?
Well, this is what I would say to a lot of tournament promoters that are doing stuff, to actually even have a chat with. There's a core of 4 people involved with the organisation in Nantes, so they're the volunteers that really do know how to put on the event. There's a professional background with 2 of them of event promoting in different areas, not just squash, in all sorts of different areas. But what also fascinates me is the way they move the event from different venues every year within the city. So next year is going to be, I can't say where it's going to be yet, but next year will be in a different venue to the castle.
Wow.
But yeah, it was fantastic. I mean, to be part of that was awesome, and you know, like I said, hopefully I'll get to dress up next year, and you know,
fingers crossed.
That's the most important thing. But Coll, Superman, won the event for the men.
Yep.
That was his first real major event of the season. What a way to start off. His girlfriend Nele, Gilis, who's doing superbly well.
Yes,
she's inside top 20. She won the event when it was slightly smaller for the women last year, so they've got a nice kind of attachment to that event. But we caught up with them in this year's US Open, and trying to find out a little bit more about the power couple.
How many followers do I have on Instagram?
A few thousand less than me. I'd say 11.5.
Wrong.
How many?
11.3.
Oh, that's pretty good. What has been my highest world ranking?
5.
Well done.
What is my biggest fear?
Spiders.
Yeah.
What is my favourite squash shot?
Backhand drive.
Correct.
What was my first PSA title win?
Is it paddleboard?
No.
No, the one in New York, and
it's wrong.
what was it? In
The one in New York.
yeah. What date is our anniversary? Maybe she got that one.
2nd of September,
Finish it.
2015.
Well done. I'll keep you.
What is my most prized possession?
Probably me. How many PSA titles have I won?
16?
Nope.
Less or more? 13?
More.
14?
Yeah.
What is my height and weight according to PSA World Tour?
Nathan. Height, that's tough. 162. That's centimeters, not weight. And
I'm not that small.
what is it? And wait, and 55.
Height is, I think, 168. Yeah.
Damn it.
Wrong.
Half point. What is my favourite clothing brand?
PC clothing.
You get that one wrong.
I would have been in so much trouble. Which cartoon character am I most like, and why?
Maybe like Kung Fu Panda. What's his name? Should eat like a panda.
Don't pandas eat really
They eat a lot.
slow and like plants?
Yeah, you eat slow and you eat a lot of plants.
Okay.
So spot on, really.
I won for sure.
No chance.
Yes!
Well, Joy, I haven't a clue who Kung Fu Panda is, but I can imagine if it's describing Nele Gilis, it would be quite a petite character.
No, the pandas are big and bear-like, so obviously...
Oh, that sums her up to a T.
Yeah, absolutely. So Paul obviously knows his girlfriend very well. Takes a lot of note outside the squash course. So I think they need to work on their private nicknames.
Fair enough. Have you, if you have a character named after you, or if you had?
Not yet. I hope to get
You're
one.
open to it?
I think I quite easily have one at Comic-Con at some point.
If I was to go for one, I would call you. I might go for Mr. Greedy. You know, those little tiny people in the
the
cartoon.
Mr. Men, which
the
I
Mr.
read
Men.
to my son on a regular basis.
Because you have a slight issue with eating all the time, and that leads to sometimes splitting your pants.
Sorry for those viewers, my trousers, which I can't explain, but not pants. Aisling lives, I don't split my underpants, but anyway. Well then, if I was Mr. Greedy, I think you'd be Little Miss Naughty.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
She seems to be a nice person.
Yeah, she's naughty. Yeah.
But nice.
Yeah, but nice.
There we go.
And I reckon it's a bit, I mean, if I called you a panda, I mean, how would you feel about that?
Not very good.
No,
not very good.
exactly.
No, it'd be off to the sports psychologist for me straight away to deal with self-esteem issues.
Little Miss Naughty's for you. We love nicknames. I love nicknames.
Yeah,
Created
you do.
the nicknames for the men, most of the men on the PSA World Tour, and some of the women. Now we've got a player who's self-appointing himself.
Oh, wow.
He's from the Cotswolds near Cheltenham, Nathan Lake, and he's self-appointed himself the Milkman. Would you believe that? The Milkman. You can take that either way. But anyway, we caught up with Nathan Lake on his milk round.
This is early.
Just a bit above me on the Call of Duty. 2:30 alarm, I've never had that before.
Have you gone to bed or have you just got up?
No, I went to bed. Although I'm a bit excited, so I didn't sleep. So I only got about 2 hours sleep. But yeah, I think we're in for a couple of hours of hard work, lifting milk.
Let's go.
Let's go.
All we have to do is check the load we got enough stock for delivery, right?
12, 15. How long do you say you've been doing this? 15 years?
Me? 45 years. Are we ready?
You're ready, John.
Nathan, these green ones and these, yeah? Take 3 of those.
Yeah.
We gotta go towards the fence. Right now we go up towards the Catholic Church. That.
Yeah.
You take it up to the chapel, you just open the door.
Yeah, madness. Set my alarm for 2:30 in the morning.
If you look on that, that's just ordinary milk.
That's organic, right?
That's
the magic stuff.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I got murdered on the squash court for Christmas one year. I think I was about 12, and I remember reading that Jonah was a milkman. And I went on this bizarre period of about 6 to 12 months of telling my careers advisor that I wanted to be a milkman. But yeah, so I always kind of wanted to do it, and then the opportunity presented itself, so I thought I'd give it a whirl. Muffin Vinnies. That's next stop.
Right, and you go.
There's hope for me yet. 9, 12, 16. Oh God, another go.
You'll see a conifer thing, put them behind one of those boxes with a conifer. You put it on your left hand side. Yep. You hold the card against it with a bead.
They're lethal, those spikes, aren't they? Just 9, John, yeah?
Yeah.
How many was it?
14 red and 2 blue. Walk up on your left hand side just past this wall, you put it down.
Looking forward to going back to bed a bit later.
You take a red for 35.
It's been a long night. Romance finished after about 2 hours in. Natural. Oh, the dog's up. Well, I'll use it at King's and I'll carry the crate.
You look tired anyway.
Do I?
You got any oats? Well, I think it might take a long time. Longer than the normal one.
Oh, jeez! Although squash isn't perfect, I think if you can play a sport and live by doing that, I think we're pretty privileged, and sometimes you can lose sight of that. You know, if you're travelling around the world and, you know, if you get a couple of bad results, you think, oh, you know, this is tough, but there's plenty of other tougher gigs out there, and waking up at 2 AM every morning to go and deliver milk for 6 hours in the snow, rain, it's probably quite a tough one. So it was good to see that, and yeah, it was good fun.
That looked absolutely brutal. I mean, he was quite jolly to start with, but 3 AM finish, he was absolutely exhausted. A bit of a blast for the real world for him.
Yeah, you should only be coming in at 3 AM, not going out.
Exactly. But being a milkman is quite close to my heart. My dad was a milkman, one of his many jobs before he became world champion and world #1.
Oh, wow.
And he also likes to make the joke publicly that I'm descended from the Norwegian milkman, which I still find quite uncomfortable. I can confirm that that's not the case.
Right, good to know.
But just it's great to see the guys just having a bit of fun outside of the game and experiencing a few other things in the real world like that. I mean, just looking back on your extensive life, what were the funny jobs that you must have had some funny jobs before you became a squash player?
Well, not necessarily funny jobs as such, but I did dip my toe into the corporate world as a 16-year-old. I was a trainee accountant. For a little internship. Well, to be honest, it was just the outfits I was really into. I liked wearing the adult. I liked wearing the adult outfits, and I'm not sure if I was that effective as an intern accountant, and if anyone's budgets didn't quite balance. I'm sorry, but the statute of limitations has passed.
So what's happened now then? So you've come as a clown now, or what?
No,
Sorry.
I did that as a proper job, Joey.
Yeah, there you go. But what about me?
What about you? What jobs have you had?
A lot of jobs.
Oh, okay.
A lot of jobs. My first job was when I was 13.
Right.
Putting up marquees on my own.
Lovely. I'd say that worked out well.
No, it didn't. No, it didn't.
Yeah.
It was horrendous. I was exhausted by that. But there's another. It just flashed into my mind. This is amazing as well. My father, one of his many jobs before he became the milkman, he was a nude model for Chelsea Art School.
I kid you not.
I kid you not.
So the taking the clothes off thing runs in the family. It's an inherited trait from your dad then, is it?
I think so. Growing up, there was not a huge amount of clothes around. So, I mean, hopefully, my little boy's already got the genetics for that. He likes to go around with pretty much nothing on. But on that bombshell, we'd like to conclude episode 1. It's been fantastic chatting with you, Aisling. Really good fun. Seeing all those interviews as well and skits is great. I'm really looking forward to episode 2, which will be coming up very, very soon.